Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, we are looking at the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series Expression Pack for Batman. I guess there's also one for Joker. Not I guess. There is definitely one for Joker. And I think maybe Harley Quinn's getting one too. I don't know if I'm going to get those. To be honest, you guys might not even know this, but I totally quit buying this line of figures altogether. As much as I love the Batman Animated Series, the figures were just way too lousy at too high of a price point, and I said, screw it, I'm not going to buy any more. And in fact, once I get my collection all rounded up, I'm going to sell off all of this line, except for this figure probably. Anyway, this one, I figured I'd go ahead and get it just because it comes with all the different option parts, and it's Batman, and I do love the series, so even if it's just mediocre, I thought it would be good enough to have, and luckily, that's kind of the case. There are some good things and some bad, so we're going to talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about, just over 6¼ inches. And that's going to make him about 16 centimeters. So that's okay size-wise. And as far as sculpt and articulation goes, as far as I can tell, he's the same as the one we already got, but I'm going completely from memory, so I could be wrong about that. So don't hold me to it, but from memory, it is nothing special or nothing new. Before we talk about the figure at all, though, let's go ahead and talk about accessories because we have a whole bunch to talk about. We have a whole bunch of different heads. We have the standard head that comes on him in the package with a neutral face. My mouth line was painted totally crooked. That's just wonderful. Then we have the angry teeth gritted face, which looks okay. Then we have the angry teeth gritted face where his eyes are squinty and way too far off to the side, which looks really goofy. We have the battle damage face, which actually looks pretty cool. They almost never sell figures with blood on them, especially from an animated series, so that's really cool that they did that. We have the one where his mouth is open a little bit, and that looks pretty good. Then we have the one where he looks shocked and he's like yelling or gasping, and that looks really good, spot on from the show. And then we have the Bruce Wayne head, which looks pretty terrible. I totally get where they're going with it, but it doesn't look very good to me at all. We have 3 different capes. We have the cape with like the plastic top and then the cloth bottom, which actually looks surprisingly good. It's really nicely done. It fits on him nicely and it looks pretty cool. But we also have the rubber version of the same thing. It's not actually rubber, it's soft plastic, but it's essentially the same thing. It just has a little bit of a flip up at the shoulders. So I'm not really sure why they did that. I think we probably should have had like a side swept cape or one that drapes over his shoulders instead. But we do have one cape meant for posing him in an action pose, which is swept backwards and then down, so it's kind of like he's jumping, so it has a nice curve to it, and that's really cool. But I do miss a side swept cape, or definitely should have had one draping over the shoulders. That would have been really nice, but we don't have that. We do have a few different hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. We have 2 batarang holding hands, 2 gripping hands, and then 1 hand with the grapnel gun molded in. Then we do have a whole bunch of different accessories. I'm not going to run through all of them there, but you can see a batarang and a grapnel gun. Those are the most important, but we do have a variety of others from various episodes in the show. And then lastly, we have a particularly large display stand, which I'm just going to talk about on camera instead of in just the photos. So you can see I've got this thing bent up over 90 degrees, more acute than 90 degrees, and it's still too damn high. So this is only good for a really dynamic pose or having him float way up above the table. So I don't understand that. It's nice that they included this nice display stand instead of those crappy ones that we were getting with this line, but it's way oversized. It's just humongous. And the joints are really stiff, by the way, so that's good, but also it'd be very easy to break this, so be extra careful. You may want to loosen up the screws. If you're going to use it, you may want to do that. I don't think you're going to want to use it probably because, like I said, it's just way too big. This is almost big enough for like a 12-inch figure. It's huge. You can swap the upright around on those various peg holes, so that's fine. And it is like a standard figure art stand. It's just really big. But here's the thing that really just grinds my gears. Here's the clip that goes on the top of it. Let me zoom in so you can see this. Okay, so it has the clip and it has the support piece, so you can put that like on his lower back or whatever, or on his butt, and it'll hold the figure in place. Look how the clip works, and look where the centerpiece is. This doesn't move. This is spring-loaded. It clips. This part is the only part that moves. This is stationary. The figure doesn't fit in here unless it's extended, so when you put it around the figure, it's going to be like that. So the part that's supposed to support the figure isn't in the right place. That couldn't be a dumber design unless it just didn't function at all. That's absolutely ridiculously bad. How did somebody think that that was okay? That's ridiculous. Alright, it's just a stand. Let's move on. Let's talk about the figure. We covered accessories already. That's enough. I just can't get over how they just neglect these things over at DC Collectibles. It's like they don't want to make action figures, but they are anyway. Apparently I've got some kind of schmutz right there on his inner groin area right there. Not good. It's so disappointing, guys. It's so disappointing. Oh, man. Okay, so the head's on a ball peg. Can move around. I guess it's technically a double ball peg. It moves around pretty nicely for the seemingly limited range. The neck works pretty well. Could be better, but it's definitely good enough. I'll give it to him. It's fine. The shoulders, this side, it's very, very stiff. That's what she said. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't go all the way out, but it goes out pretty far. This side, that's as far as it'll go. So that's not so great. As far as rotation goes, it's fine. Obviously, the capes can get in the way, but not so much, so that's okay. For the elbows, we do have a swivel at the bicep, so I'll give them a little bit of credit for that, at least. But look at where the bicep hinge is. It looks like it's going to function so that when you rotate it, this piece of elbow is in line with the arm. But the rotation for the hinge is offset. It's farther in than it should be, so that when you bend the arm, you get that lip sticking out at the bottom. Right here, and the arm has no range because it's too far into the bicep. If that was just down a little bit, if the hinge was farther down the forearm, it would work so much better. As it is, you don't get a 90-degree bend and you get an ugly elbow. This side seemingly works a little bit better. Not by much, but a little bit. Maybe it's just because their tab over here on this elbow is a little shorter. I don't know. For the wrists, of course, we have our swivel and our hinge. That's to be expected. For the torso articulation, we have just a waist twist. For the hips, we can bring them that far forward, which is, I mean, it's probably far enough. It would be nicer to do farther, but it'll work. They do go backward, which is, I guess, okay. And then we have the hips, which are still pretty lousy. Pretty much altogether terrible hip articulation. No thigh swivel in this guy, so posing options are going to be extremely limited. The knee joint gives you just about 90 degrees. It's fairly ugly, but it's functional enough, so I guess that's okay. And then for the ankles, we have really good range going back, and not great range going forward, but probably good enough. And then we get our ankle rocker, which is a welcomed addition to the articulation. So, yep, just as I thought before, the line is still exceedingly mediocre. This is just... If it wasn't Batman the Animated Series, I wouldn't have any interest in a figure of this quality at all. It's just so poorly handled. Very, very disappointing. So the only purpose for this, guys, is if you want a definitive, and it's unfortunate to say that because there's just no other options, but a definitive animated series Batman, go ahead and pick up the set and you'll have some fun with it, but you're not going to be able to pose it very well. It's not a high level of finish. The bat symbol's okay, but that's about it. It's just very, very okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's objectively, that's how it is. And subjectively, I'm even more irritated because for something I like so much, the figure is just mediocre, and it could have been so easily handled better. It's very poorly done. Not pleased with it at all, but I guess if you're like me and you really want a Batman animated series figure, this is the way to go. You do have the extra options for the faces and capes and stuff, so I guess that's it. It's a reluctant recommendation for a diehard BTAS fan, and otherwise it's a very definite don't bother picking it up. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.